Yes, he's gonna leave.
Okay, who would you like to take roll?
Have Ed do it.
Okay, so Mr. Frank, when we get to the roll call, can you go ahead and take the roll since Mr. Haddonfield is not here tonight?
Okay.
Do you remember what to do?
I'm trying to remember all the names.
Yeah, like me,
You can just look
like me.
Terry Dahlman.
Okay. What about when I come to Ray? I shouldn't call his name, right?
Just say Ray is
Absent,
Yeah,
yeah. And then
okay.
we'll annotate that he's absent in the minutes.
Okay, I'll give it a try.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Thank you.
What's her name? Okay, I got it.
Just keep making fun of me, okay?
Are you,
She can't remember who
are
we
you,
are.
are you Ms.?
just say Terry Dahlman.
Okay, well, wait, that's not what
Ay,
we're
ay,
ready
ay.
to.
Ready?
I wanted to
You can
say,
say Miss Terry Dahlman if you want.
You know, Gabe's not here tonight.
Okay, I think we're ready to
He
go.
introduced these people, but I told her you could do it, so she doesn't have to come home and go back and sit down.
Okay.
So for construction projects, you just introduce Gloria Martinez, and she'll come up and she's the construction projects manager. And then Safe Routes to School, introduce Ashley Curry, Safe Routes to School coordinator. Okay.
Oh, you don't even know. Actually, you know what? In a couple of weeks, I'll want to go back though because it's fun for a little while. But then I'm just sitting there, and I miss the hustle bustle of all that's going on. I do.
Yeah, you get to see.
We're a little bit
But
late.
there's that.
We're a little bit late,
That's my favorite part.
okay?
Okay, I'm ready. Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon. I am calling this special meeting, our work session, to order. Today is Tuesday, June the 6th, and I welcome everyone here. Mr. Frank, would you please take roll?
I would love to. Ms. Dowman?
Here.
Mr. Castro?
Here.
Senora Flores?
Here.
And I am here, and Mr. Jaramillo is not here.
No. He was here earlier, and he has a class in which he has a presentation, and he's not allowed to miss, so that is why he's not here.
It appears that we do have a quorum.
Thank you. And I'd like to welcome Cameron, who is taking some time from his summer vacation to be here from Centennial High School. I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Frank made a first and Mr. Castro a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda item 5C1, approval of student out-of-state travel. And if you need to look at it, no extra information, it was in our packet.
It was in our packet.
Yes. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Dahlman. A second? Mr. Castro, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So that is approved, and I would now like to report on the closed executive session. The board met in closed executive session on June 6, 2017, from 3:06 p.m. to 4:04 p.m. to discuss the evaluation of the superintendent and limited personnel matters. Specifically, so the superintendent can update the board regarding, well, actually, we did not do that. We ran out of time. So I'm going to skip over that, but I'll tell you what we did do. We did go over the evaluation of the superintendent, and we did also discuss communications with legal counsel regarding pending litigation, specifically to discuss a special education due process complaint docketed as DPH 1617-24, including possible settlement as permitted under Section 10-15-1H7 of the New Mexico Opens Meeting Act. We ran out of time to go over those investigations of certified and classified employees by the superintendent. So we're holding that till next time. So that takes us to the superintendent report.
Yes, ma'am. Madam President, members of the board, and to our audience, good evening. I'd like to start this evening by saying this past weekend I attended a retirement party, and I see Ms. Garcia in the audience with us this evening. I want to wish a happy retirement to all of our retirees. I also want to remind them, under New Mexico law, after you are retired 1 year, you may come back to work. And we have work here. And watching Miss Garcia and listening to all the accolades at her retirement reception, I think she definitely will want to come back in a year. So to all of our retirees, I bid you the best, and I also extend to you the open door to come back home when you're ready. At this time, Madam President, with permission, I'm going to call some staff members forward, and we've prepared a sheet for the board. These are members in the reorganization that I have changed their titles. And so I'd like to just send this down if we would. And I'd like to recognize these new members and have their new title read to the board, and then let them formally meet the board in their new positions. So first, Mr. Gabe Hawkes has been promoted from Associate Superintendent to Deputy Superintendent. He is on a much-needed vacation today, and he is not here with us, but will do an outstanding job. Secondly, Dr. Roberto Lozano has been promoted to Chief Officer of Equity, Innovation, and Social Justice. I do want to say that Dr. Lozano lost a member of his family and has spent the last week doing the things that you have to do, and that is going through the burial and the service. And so we wish them well. And in fact, I sent him on an airplane Monday morning. He is in Miami today doing a television interview with Univision on what we do with Hispanic students in this district. And so after burying a family member, he continued the job. And of course, I'm very proud of Dr. Lozano and his work. I'll call the executive cabinet members at the June 20th meeting, since we're all not here tonight. And now tonight, I would like to announce 4 assistant superintendent appointments. First, if these individuals would just come and just kind of stand here in front of legal counsel. Mr. Edward Ellison is being promoted from the Business Services Department to Assistant Superintendent of Finance. And is Mr. Ellison here? Would you come forward? The Finance Department, of course, is responsible for all funding within the district and ensuring that we remain in compliance with not only federal but state statute as well. And so Crystal and her team do an outstanding job, and we couldn't do it without help. And so we're very proud for Mr. Ellison. Secondly, Dr. Wendy Miller-Tomlinson, if you would come forward. Dr. Miller-Tomlinson is being promoted from Director of High Schools to Assistant Superintendent of Teaching and Learning. She will oversee the entire Teaching and Learning division. She has been a high school teacher and is a much welcomed addition to our family here. Thirdly, Ms. Glenda Rodriguez is being promoted from Executive Director of Special Education to Assistant Superintendent of Special Student Services. Glenda has been with the district 39 years, and she's one of those employees, whenever I ask for something to be done, the words are, "I'm on it." I tell her to give me the bulleted version instead of her notebook version, but another outstanding employee. And Ms. Tiffany Gomez is being promoted from Director of Elementary School Principals to Assistant Superintendent of Leadership. Ms. Gomez will be responsible for overseeing all of the district's elementary principals and middle school principals. She's been a principal herself. She's on my speed dial. I have to confess, I work her probably more than anyone else in the room because I constantly call when there's an issue in the school. And I don't care when you call, she picks up the phone. So all 4 of these individuals I'm most proud of. And now we have 3 more positions to bring forward as well. Mr. Ernie Viramontes is being promoted from Director to Executive Director of Athletics. If you've ever been to any event, you know Mr. Viramontes is there. So he comes in the morning and works until midnight. Mr. Jaime Calderon is being promoted from Coordinator to a Director and Senior Advisor to the Superintendent and to the Board of Education. He's our most trusted advisor in my office, and he is the first line to listen to any type of issue that comes forward to the superintendent or to the board. And finally, Ms. Ruby Delgado is being promoted from Assistant Director to Director of Analysis and Research. And so, Madam President and members of the board, during my reorganization, we did send $1.3 million in employee salaries back to the schools, and these are the employees who will be picking up additional duties. And I couldn't be more proud of all of them, and it's my honor to present them to the board, and with your permission, I'd like for them to come and meet the members of the board. Okay.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
I know, yeah. Thanks, Cameron.
Congratulations.
Hope it's not too much. Nice to see you. Congratulations.
Congrats, Ms. Gomez.
Thank you so much.
Congrats, Mr. Vidamontes.
I like the charts. Very cute.
Okay. And now, moving along, Madam President, for a quick budget update, we do know that the special session has ended in Santa Fe. Our lobbyist, Chris Balzano, is here with us tonight. Again, we want to send thanks to Chris and his team in Santa Fe. At this juncture, we did not lose funding. In fact, the special session included an additional $16 per child for the district. There was a provision to give that to us right away, but the governor struck that out in her signing of the law. And so it's our understanding that within 90 days, those funds will come. We've projected that, Crystal, help me, 600?
That's correct, right about 600,000.
600,000 additional in revenue. Again, we're waiting for the June 30th cash audit of the actual cash we have in the bank. We projected a $10 million cash balance. Anything above that will be extra cash within the district. We think that will come a little higher. As soon as we have that, we will announce that publicly. And then those will be the funds that we, as an entity, will have to see what we want to do looking forward with our employees within the district. And now, Madam President, I'm going to turn to my friends with NEA and CSEC. And first, I'm going to call on President Valdespino with CSEC. Do you have a report this evening? No report, Superintendent. Okay, thank you. And I have to give you my apologies. I canceled a luncheon with you, but as soon as I'm back from vacation with my mama, you are next on the list. So, and President Hartman, do we have a report?
Madam President and members of the board, Superintendent Ewing, I'm Bruce Hartman. I'm the president of NEA Las Cruces. I'd just like to report that thanks to our new leadership, Superintendent Ewing and our Human Resources Director, we are undergoing a very open and transparent process for our interviews for principals at our schools and also central office administration. And they're in the process of conducting interviews, and we have been contacted to select people to be on the interview committees for equal representation. And I guess some of you know that it was this time last year, I stood up here and we found out that there were like 14 or 15 principal positions that there were no interviews last year. And I had to stand up here and look our past superintendent and our human resource director straight in the eye and tell them what happened and why they shouldn't do that. So this is a new day, and we certainly appreciate it. Also, I just wanted to let the board and the public know that we have conducted 2 surveys. One was conducted right around spring break. That was a testing survey. And we had 650 respondents to that one. And we also just conducted another survey on professional development, climate and culture, and bargaining. And we will, be analyzing the results and give a report to the board at a later date. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hartman.
Thank you. Vice President Par Sanchez, are you speaking tonight? No? Amy? Are you okay? All right, and now moving along, Madam President, if I may. The next items, I just would like to engage the board in some discussion. Legal counsel is not going to allow me to poll the board, but I certainly will welcome any comments you may have as I go over each of these items. First, I would just like to announce to the board and to the public that I have met with the Confucius Institute at New Mexico State University for the purpose of instituting Chinese studies programs in the school district. The Confucius Institute is funded by Hanban, which is the equivalent of the Department of Education in China. And so this is what I did in Georgia. We moved Chinese into 9 of our schools. It was a wonderful adventure. We're going to look to do that here as well. We will bring teachers from China. They will work in our high schools, and students will take those courses for credit. We're still beginning just to work out the very beginning details. I'll certainly have a much more detailed report for the board in the future. I also will work on a trip in the fall or the spring in which we take some of our district principals, our district administrators, and any board member who wishes to get on the plane with me, and we will go to Beijing, Shanghai, and Yangzhou, China, and actually spend about a week, maybe 7 days in schools so that you can actually see the Chinese school system. And then we will,
If you want, yes, you can.
we will look at.
Can we
the-
volunteer at this time, Dr.?
Yeah, are you ready to go? And so this is something we're working on. I just want to see if the board has any questions as I pursue this endeavor, or if you had any cautions or concerns.
Board members, comments, questions?
Seems like a wonderful direction in which to go.
I just have one comment or concern, and that is that several years ago, we used to bring teachers from Spain into our district to teach Spanish, and there was a problem with certification.
Sure.
So, I'm sure.
And so one of the things that we will do, in speaking with Ms. Elvira Mason, she's the professor of the program at NMSU, we will bring those individuals in actually as NMSU faculty, and so their certification will be run through the university. And we'll run these as dual credit courses so that the students obtain not only Chinese language credit through us, but through the university as well.
Mr. Coster, you have any questions?
No comment. It's amazing what you accomplish and what you continue to do.
Thank you.
And did you mention 9 schools?
In Georgia, I had Chinese in 9 locations.
Okay. And what
Here,
is- yeah.
we would look for the 4 comprehensive high schools.
Okay.
And so we would put it in Oñate, we would put one at Centennial, one at Las Cruces, and one at Mayfield.
Okay, that sounds good. And we did have a program, but the last time we had this relationship with the Confucius Institute, it started in kindergarten.
Yes,
Yeah.
and the issue there is, under the current administration in Santa Fe, you cannot get the teacher certified through the public education department. And so the only route available to us is to go through the university certification program under dual credit.
Right, okay. Well, thank you for that.
Yes, ma'am. The next item is a discussion on the revised graduation schedule and locations. And so we have published a graduation schedule already for next year. However, at this time, I'm going to bring something forward to the board in the future in which we revise that just slightly. The board and I embarked on 7 graduation ceremonies, I believe it was, including Doña Ana Community College. And it was a wonderful experience. Each school did a beautiful job. We were very proud of all of them. But we started on a Friday night and ended on a Tuesday. And so if anyone in the crowd is in the over 50 age group, you can attest to how tired we are at the end of the ceremony. So what we're going to propose is we're going to do all of the graduation ceremonies between Friday and Saturday at the Pan Am Center. And we're going to move the early college high school ceremony from the convention center to the Pan Am Center so that tickets would be in abundance for those families as well. Remember that this is the first year that the early college will have both of its high schools graduating. There'll be a need for additional tickets. There'll be a slight modification to the schedule. And I wanted to ask the board if you had any concerns or comments if we were to move in this direction.
No?
Okay. And I have to give credit where credit is due. Ms. Dahlman is the one who suggested to me, why are we doing this over 5 days when we could do it over 2? So your math is better than mine.
Ask her next year and see how she feels after 2 days, okay?
Okay, all right, Ms. Dahlman, it's on you for next year.
Yeah, we'll recalibrate then.
The next item is the discussion of the annual football game held at New Mexico State University. As a newcomer to your society, I am well aware that there is a football game held every year between Mayfield and Las Cruces high schools, and that has tended to be a town event that everyone thinks is of great importance. And I certainly wouldn't think that we would do anything to change that. But as a newcomer coming into your system, you have 4 comprehensive high schools, not 2. And so, Madam President, members of the board, I have met with the president of New Mexico State University, along with the police chief, to see if we could do, for lack of a better word, I'm going to call it a double header. And so we would actually have Centennial and Oñate play at 4 p.m., and then we would have Las Cruces and Mayfield play at 7 p.m. So we're looking at a date. Mr. Veramontes is in the audience. We'll begin having some meetings with those staff members. And I do, the police chief is here, and I see Mr. Veramontes in the audience. I just want to see if the board has any concern. I do think it's fair to the students at the other 2 schools to have that opportunity as well. In speaking with the police chief, we know that for the game to begin at 4, we would have to bring students in a little earlier. So 2 of the high schools, those students would be dismissed about an hour early. Cameron, do you think they would mind being
I
dismissed?
don't have a single issue with that, though.
We didn't think you would. We actually looked at, we probably will ask the students to leave their backpacks at their school location and offer to bus them free of charge on our own buses over to the stadium, and then bus them actually back to school so you could pick up your backpack and do your homework over the weekend after the game.
That sounds amazing. That sounds amazing. I think we'd have a tremendous amount of support from both Centennial and Oñate if we were to do that.
Okay, so we're looking at that. We also know that middle school dismissal time is 3:45 p.m. We do think there may be a few middle school students who might check out an extra 15 minutes early. We'll pull all those logistics together and give the board a full presentation of everything that we see from a logistical standpoint. But I did want to ask the board, before I move forward, does the board have any concerns or any comments in me moving forward with this idea?
I have one comment. I mean, it's always good to have someone look at what we do with new eyes, and that's what you've done. And I think that we haven't been all-inclusive with our high schools. So this is an opportunity to move in the right direction. And I know it's heresy to say this, but maybe the following year we can flip the schedule so that Las Cruces High and Mayfield would go first, and then it'll become a cycle that they would go back and forth. And you could propose that to the booster clubs and see if they would be even accepting of that. But I know this is a tradition, and I don't want to step on anybody's, whatever we do here, our traditions. But we're moving in the right direction by including all 4 of our high schools.
Okay, so Madam President, members of the board, I am going to move forward with each of these 3 initiatives I've discussed with you. We will certainly bring full presentations to the board with staff here in the room where you could certainly ask questions, and on these ideas that require board approval, we will certainly be seeking that at a later time. And now, Madam President, if I may, I would like to call forward Mr. Manuel Arellano for a presentation on the Las Cruces Scholastic Chess Association. So, Mr. Arellano, first of all, thank you for coming this evening. Thank you for coming to the practice session yesterday, and welcome to the board meeting, and welcome to our board members.
First of all, I'd like to thank you, Mr. Ewing, for allowing me to come here, and Senora Maria Flores. I appreciate this. The gentleman next to me is my sidekick. He's my grandson, Jaime Manuel Arellano, and my name is Arellano. Always have problems with the last name. And you're lucky I didn't put my full name because it's even worse. If you look in front of you, I left you a mission statement of what we're trying to do. And I also brought in a timeline because it's very important to connect everything here. The timeline, I've just completed the full year. and it tells you and shows you the numbers of people that we had. And it actually became his idea. I took him to a chess coach, and 3 days later, he was in a tournament in Albuquerque, right out of kindergarten. I had no idea he had learned to play because I had just recovered from a major operation, and I was in bed for 2 years playing chess. Well, little did I know he was paying attention. Once I found out he knew, well, I put him in this program, and it just kind of getting bigger and bigger. He did make me promise him one thing. Grandpa, if we do this, I want to help teach the poor kids. And I said, so do I. They told me, the day you charge is the day I quit. So I'm not charging anything. It's for free, and we're getting a lot of response from a lot of schools, a lot of students. The students just keep coming and coming and coming, which is why I decided to make a board of directors to protect our assets and to make this a good foundation that we could start and continue growing. As of now, our projections are about 200 to 300 students coming in the next school year. We're not targeting all the schools at once, just as many as I can get volunteers to train and get invested and background checked. And that's why I formed the chess board. We have a summer session starting where I'm hoping to get volunteers and train them to teach. And it's nothing really big, it's beginner's chess. It's simple, but the interest has been phenomenal. I've had the opportunity to be a judge in some tournaments. I know the chess coaches, I work with them, one for a year and a half, another one for a year and a half, and they're wonderful coaches. I do not fall in the line where I have degrees or certificates that say I am a chess coach. I'm not president of the Southern Federation. What you're getting with me is a grandpa who loves chess and loves to teach it. And the numbers are phenomenal. I go to a school and I get kids grabbing my arm, begging me to please do something, get us a chess club, do something. I'm here to speak for the students. Their voice, I can't say no to young kids. I have great empathy for the poor people. I personally come from Juarez, so it kind of gives you an idea where I come from. I also roam the halls in the school district talking to teachers, and everyone I talk to is begging me, keep it up, please keep it going. I would like this program to be and stay and keep growing, and 4 or 5 years down the line be there. We have, at this moment, we're working on getting our bank account set up so we can have funds to send, and we're going to have champions going in about 2 to 3 years. Now, there are some rules that I've laid out. I know what's out there in the chess world, and I don't want to discourage our students from getting demolished. They have been going at it for 10, 15 years. We're just starting. It's a beginner's chess classes. I do and have mandated that we have a tournament within whichever school is in the organization at the end of the semester between ourselves. Not for medals, not for anything else other than the fact to give them an idea of what's out there. I'm not pushing tournaments to get trophies. I am pushing chess to teach them to use our God-given abilities to learn how to plan things, how to execute things, how to analyze things. I believe that in 3 to 4 years, this will continue to grow, and in so doing, you have to look at it with me in the long range, not just the short range. I'm not here for the short range. It's a lot of work, but I think it'll benefit not only our students, but our teachers as well, our community as well, and it's all I can do to keep pushing for this. As of right now, I received a phone call from the juvenile probation office. They want to see what I've got to offer for them, and I'll be more than happy to go work with them too. In this time when we have budget cuts left and right, this is a great tool to help us. I owe you, all of you, a great thank you, because this is not my program. This program became because of your IPE program. I went to the IPE to see how I could help my teachers, to see what I could do to become viable in the community with my school. And the IPE program has opened up doors. People have called me, have come in. I push this IPE program wherever I can. and I've been told I'm going over, so I got to call it short. But this is what I'm doing. All I ask from you is think about us. We're working at it, and it's all for all of us, and it's free. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Arellano.
Mr. Arellano.
We've-
Board members, do you have any questions or comments for Mr. Arellano?
I just have one
Yes.
comment,
Yes.
Madam President. It's very commendable what you're doing, and as I understand it, we only use a fraction of our brain capacity. And maybe some of our presidents would make use of this to expand their brain capacity.
The program I have for the summer is open to all adults. And
There you go.
I don't want you to think it's only open to the poor kids. Rich kids are welcome too. I am not going to tell any student no because you don't have the money. I will never do that. I coached 25 years in the volunteer program basketball, and Mr. Viramontes and I became acquainted in that, and I never cut one single player. There were times I had 8 teams because I had 80 kids come out. I was going broke, and my wife told me I better reconsider this. But because they didn't have the funds, I paid for them. I can honestly tell you this chess is going to, it's there, the interest is there, the kids are there, the teachers want it. I just pray that you can back me up for the next 3-4 years. I want to see this going long after, well, I won't be here, but I want it to keep going once I'm gone. It's not something we can just throw away and say, it doesn't help. It does help. It definitely does help. I have teachers begging me, please don't stop, not just in one school. The schools I've targeted are the small schools. I grew up in this community. I know what's there and what's not there. I know where the need is. Heck, I got in trouble because I gave half of my stuff to the boys club. They don't have anything.
Okay.
That's me.
Any other comments? Yes.
Just, keep us informed on what you need, because this is truly a
I would like to
great
be able to
program.
come here in August. I'm spending this summer with my summer program trying to get parents and teachers involved so I can recruit teachers. I need, looking at my forecast, at least 10 that I got to, get the background checks, get them all set so I can assign. The schools are ready. I just got to do a little bit more hustling with the volunteers. But yeah, definitely, I would love to come back here just before the semester starts and let you know where we're at and where we're going. Again, thank you, and one person, there's a lot of people to thank, but Bridget, and I can't pronounce her last name, but she was my inspiration for all this. She's the one that got me up on the stand after my second graduation ceremony and told me to talk. I asked her what about. She said, talk about what you're doing. I got flooded with phone calls after that. I had no choice but listen and do something.
I have one question, Mr. Arellano. Are any of your board members here?
Yes,
Could you
my
just
first
ask
teacher
them-
in the IPA program,
Okay.
Mary Esther Burnham,
Okay.
she has been God sent. I mean, I shouldn't say that, but there's people here that I wouldn't be here without them. There's 15 to 20, and my God, I am beholden to them because this is for all of us.
And I have a second question. What school does your grandson go to?
Right now, he's attending University Hills. He'll be a 5th grader, and
Well, thank you both for being here. We
I
really
appreciate your time.
it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, wonderful. Madam President, members of the board, before I conclude my presentation, I did ask Chief Lopez from NMSU to come. The board did not have any questions for us this evening, which is always a good thing. But I did want, if you would stand, could we just recognize Chief Lopez? And he has children in our school system. And I do want to say publicly that when I started my idea of the extra football game, he was the first one to support it fully. So thank you so much, Chief.
Thank you.
All right, Cameron.
I think I better stay civil.
He's a police chief.
This is true.
Before I turn it over to our student advisor, which is next on the agenda, I just wanted to take a point of privilege and let everyone know that I was informed recently that at the New Mexico School Board Association meeting in Albuquerque, our student Olivia Weinbaum is receiving the scholarship. Oh. So, for Region 7. And she is not here today because she is at a dance recital, but I got the results of all the scholarship winners, and they only choose one for the whole of Region 7, which is 5 or 6 districts. So we're very happy that she has been selected, and I just wanted to make that announcement. So congratulations to Olivia and her family. Now to our student advisor.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board, Mr. Superintendent. I'm happy to be here. Give me something to do. It gives me something to do over the summer. First off, I want to comment before I get into my report on the proposed idea for this fall regarding the football games. I think that would be a great idea because it respects the tradition that we have of Cruces and Mayfield being a top 10 rivalry, high school football rivalry in the country, while also taking time to recognize that we have 2 other powerhouse, high-quality football programs that engage in very good competitions they have over the past 4 or 5 years. Dr. Ewing, Chief Lopez, although you are an Oñate supporter, I would be more than happy to work with the both of you regarding this topic. A little update on the Student Advisory Council. We had a great amount of senior leadership on this past year's Student Advisory Council, and it's kind of weird to see them gone, but as it stands right now, we have 5 very strong Student Advisory Council members, 3 of whom will be juniors next year, 2 will be seniors, and we are looking, we won't meet in July, but we're looking in August. I don't know if you all remember this past year, we had a large group session where we invited anyone who was interested in learning about the function of the Student Advisory Council to come downtown. And we offered them drinks and snacks and stuff like that. And Andre Gonzalez, the former president, talked to them. I think that would be a great idea to do this year, and we'll work with Ms. Hammond and Dr. Ewing to get that set up, because what we had this past year is we had 40 or 50 kids in a standing room only setting, and throughout the year we were able to weed ourselves down to about 10 or 11 really, really strong leaders who provided great voices on behalf of their schools. So I think that's a good system that we can look into replicating for this year. In regards to the superintendent's evaluation, I will just say one thing on behalf of the Student Advisory Council. We're very pleased with the performance and the work ethic of Dr. Ewing and his ability to be transparent and to advocate for the students, and not just the students at the high schools, but every single one of our almost 25,000 students. We are greatly appreciative for that. And finally, I was just looking at an article right before the board came out in the Sun News about shortened testing time this coming year. The PED, Hannah Scandera, has announced changes which will take down testing time a good amount. Now, we're not out of the woods yet. There are still a lot of things that need changed, but that's a good sign. We're taking baby steps here, so I'm grateful for that. With that, I'll take any questions or comments that the board may have.
Mm-hmm. Board members? And I actually read more bad news in regards to testing, that all ELL students are going to be required to take more tests next year. And they're already the ones that are over-tested, and that's coming straight from federal government.
Yes, ma'am.
So.
And we are working on a report for the board, and I want to thank Ms. Amy Simpson. She's given me a skeleton of a plan, but Mr. Vega and some of the other staff members are going to prepare for August a presentation on testing. And I've spoken before at length with the board and with the students. I am a teacher at heart. I certainly believe in good teaching, but I do not believe in the testing the way the system is set up now. And I told the board in our last meeting, I spent a day in a middle school where middle school students took the Algebra 1 test online. They spent an hour importing information into the computer. They all hit enter at the same time to submit their results, and the computer crashed. We called the public education department, and we were told just simply let them take the test again tomorrow. So what does that do with validity of the test? And so while we are happy to see this testing window shortened, I do want to remind folks that even when you see a 3-week testing window, that's a month of instruction taken away from teachers in the classroom. And so, as I have said before to all of our teachers, by the authority invested in me, you have my permission to reclaim your classroom. Close your door and teach. I will not discipline any teachers for student test scores alone. Student test scores do one thing, and that is they show us the economic stability of the family and the home they're coming from. And now, Madam President, I do want to say, Ms. Hammond, have you spoken to the students yet? Okay, I will let you do that. At that juncture, I will move on.
Okay, thank you for your report.
Yes, ma'am.
And we move on now to instruction and Ms. Martinez.
Yes, and Madam President, Ms. Martinez is not here this evening. She's taking care of a family member. And so at this point, I'm going to call forward Dr. Wendy Miller Tomlinson, who is going to introduce our guests this evening. Once again, we're going to do a presentation for the board on the Advanced Ed Accreditation System, and just reminding the board that our school district high schools are accredited, but no other schools through the Advanced Ed system. And so one of my priorities was to have all 41 schools accredited. And we are actually beginning that process. And Dr. Miller Tomlinson, if you would come forward and introduce our esteemed guest and let us continue our dialogue with the board on accreditation.
Good afternoon, members of the board, Madam President, members of the board, Mr. Superintendent. So earlier today, our principals and assistant principals and central office staff had the opportunity to get an overview of the district accreditation process. So I will introduce Dr. Susanna Murphy, who will explain the district accreditation process.
Dr. Murphy, welcome.
Madam President, members of the board, Superintendent Ewing, it's a pleasure to be back here in Las Cruces. I had that wonderful opportunity to be here in February, and thank you for the invitation to come back and give you some more information about systems accreditation and what that means for the district and the power behind this process to build a systems framework to get everything aligned and integrated from the classroom level to the school level to the district level. This morning, we had a great information session with the principals. We spent about an hour and a half with the folks going through a little bit more deeper detail about how the schools would be involved with this process. This evening, what I'm going to do, and being very cognizant of your time, what we're going to do is give you a brief overview, but go down a little bit deeper than what we did in February, so you can really get your head around what this means and how powerful this is for the Las Cruces Public Schools District to be engaged with the process. So in the past, accreditation was pretty much looked at as an event. People scurried, got ready for this event of a team coming into the district. A lot of evidence was gathered, and then when the team left, we shelved it and went on our business. Advance Ed has recognized that this truly must be a continuous improvement journey to really get the power of the why you're doing this in the first place. So we are moving our schools with our new continuous improvement system based on a modern accreditation approach that involves all stakeholders in the process. And it's really going to look at where the district is at now, how to empower the district to move forward, and how to navigate its continuous improvement journey, guided by a community-inspired vision. Vision is powerful. It's your North Star. You know that. But getting all stakeholders behind that, this particular framework helps you to do that and do that well. So we want to move our schools and school districts engaged with this continuous improvement system that leads to accreditation to really get out of this event mindset. That causes a lot of compliance type behaviors to happen. And then when it's over, whoop, we're done. And we're accredited for 5 years. Now we move on. This is really about seriously engaging in continuous improvement as a journey. and embedding this framework into the day-to-day operations of how the district operates, from the classroom to the school to the district level. Okay? We know that education is a collection of moments. It's not a snapshot in time. We've all had those discussions as educators, and we know this to be true. So we really have to look at the process as a journey. And this is about leveraging your improvement, really building a roadmap for educational excellence in the district. The foundation of the process are the performance standards. There are standards for systems, school systems, and there are standards for schools. Advanced Ed actually has standards for a variety of unique education institutions. But for the purposes of systems accreditation, schools and the district would be engaged utilizing these standards as the foundation of the process of coming together and moving forward together. The school standards are aligned with the school system standards. There's different language involved because if you're operating at a school level, it's a little different than when you're operating at the system level, the school district level. Nonetheless, there is an alignment. And it really helps you to focus on leadership, learning, and resource as capacities that drive performance excellence in your district. When a team actually comes eventually to the district to have that outside view to help you take your next steps, they're going to be rating the district against the school system standards. The schools will use the school standards to inform the district's diagnostics that they're going to complete. And they're going to use that lens, and then the school district is going to use those school systems standards to help build from that foundation to move the district forward. So the connection is that everybody has the skin in the game, if you will, that everybody has to be involved, that all stakeholders need to be engaged. And when we say stakeholders, we mean everyone who's involved with your education community. Students, especially students, have a voice also in this process. So it's a research-based framework. You see on the one side of the slide here, school system quality factors, and you see 7 areas there that are research-based as to what we know from the effective schools research, that this is what matters to drive quality in both the school and system levels. The performance standards are the foundation. The quality factors are how you build your roadmap. And those school system quality factors are aligned to the standards. Those are the 3 domains that I mentioned: leadership, learning, and resource capacities. And within each of those domains, there are standards. In the school standards, there's 30. In the systems, there's 31. Although these are separate types of documents and diagnostics in a sense, they are aligned. And when a team comes, they're going to look at the information provided by the district, schools informing the district on how to complete those diagnostics. They're going to look at the system, district's diagnostics, and they're going to come in then and do that crossover to the standards to rate the standards. This is the cycle of improvement that's involved and why we say it's no longer an event, it's a journey. The learn and share element of the journey is when you're engaging all your stakeholders through culture climate surveys at the elementary, middle, and high school levels, parents, teachers, and staff. You're also going to be looking at inventories of what students are doing on a daily basis in their learning, and inventories of what teachers are doing in their work environment. All of that is informing those quality factors when they finally get to the point where they start to look at completing that diagnostic. The examine and plan then takes it one step further where we get into the diagnostics. So you're getting all this data from Learn and Share, you're driving it into examine and plan, and then you're acting and evaluating on what you've learned to plot your journey. Some folks have used a PDSA approach. This is really about a cycle of improvement. But you notice it doesn't end. It's not an event, it's a journey. This slide pretty much gives you the 30,000-foot view of what's involved in Learn and Share, Examine and Plan, and Act and Evaluate. Everything you see at the top of the slide, everything there is what the schools will be doing. Schools, when they complete their information and inform the district then will be doing the work based on what they've learned from the schools and what they're gleaning from the culture and climate surveys, the inventories, and how that's going to be then completed with the systems school quality and the systems diagnostics. So you can see everything involved with Learn and Share. There's the surveys and the inventories and classroom observation, and this is a critical point. We have a tool called Elliott. It's the Effective Learning Environment Observation Tool. It is not a teacher evaluation tool. It's not another form of teacher evaluation. We make that very clear. What this tool is, it helps teachers to understand and measure and manage student engagement in the learning process. That is a very powerful way of pushing professional learning communities, peer-to-peer learning, getting everybody to help each other to constantly move student engagement forward, because we know in the research, if students are not engaged, they're not learning. They may show up in the classroom, doesn't mean they're engaged in their learning. So that tool is a powerful tool, and it's part of the tools that will be a part of the whole package of getting involved with systems accreditation. And all schools and the district will have access to the Elliott. And then the diagnostic tools you see in the middle there, and then you see the acting and evaluating piece. All that information is going on as part of your systems framework in motion, if you will. And that information then is going to be shared with an engagement review team that will come to the district, give you the external lens, and help you take your next steps. When the team is here, it's going to be talking to lots of stakeholders. The members of the team will talk to lots of stakeholders, parents, students, staff, teachers. They'll be on the go, if you will. The focus will be mostly at the district level with their visit, but they're going to go out into the schools as well. Classroom observations will be performed by the Elliott. They are highly trained to go in and do that work. Those are 20 minutes of high intensity looking at what students are doing. And then those results help to inform the schools and the system about what they could do better to measure and manage student engagement in the learning process. So that's a part of what the team will do, and then they're going to look at a standards diagnostic that's going to help the district move forward with the ratings of the standards, and they'll look at lots of evidence, and they basically will prioritize areas in need of improvement, and you can use this information to benchmark how your performance is with all of the schools and school districts in the Advanced Ed network. Keep in mind, we're in all 50 states. We service the Navajo Nation, the Department of Defense schools, Puerto Rico, and we are in 76 countries around the world. So that benchmarking is a powerful tool to take a look at yourselves and how you're doing within the network. That, of course, all leads then to your accreditation. So the diagnostics are the tools, and it helps you see what are we doing great and where might we be missing the target a little bit. So it's the presence and absence of effective practices. And it helps you to measure those attributes, behavior, student performance, stakeholder perceptions within those diagnostic tools. I talked about the school quality factors. There are 7 factors involved, highly researched, on what matters to truly have an effective, high-quality school. So the schools are working on these quality factors and completing their surveys, their inventories, their Elliott observations, and they're informing the diagnostic that goes with the school quality factors completion at the school level. Then at the system level, the district will take all that information they're learning about the schools, and they're going to move forward as a district leadership team to look at the system quality factors. And now that's feeding classroom to school to district to align your work. And you can see there's a difference in the language because this is the work a school district should be engaged with to have high quality in a district. Okay? So it's 7 research-based factors used to self-evaluate for your improvement journey, not for advanced ed's purposes, your improvement journey. The leadership teams at the school are involved. The leadership team at the district level is involved in this process. Reflect and discuss all your practices, conditions, your data, what's it telling you? And think about what you're discovering about yourself, of where you are today and where you need to go. And it's basically starting July 1st when this new continuous improvement system is launching, and all schools and school districts hosting reviews next year are going to be engaging in what I'm sharing with you. These are all of the stakeholders that are embedded in the items of the school and the system quality factors. So the learners, the students, the instructional staff, leaders at all levels, other school staff, parents, families, and the community at large. The questions being asked in these diagnostics are drilling down to make sure that we're seeing what the big picture looks like at the school and the system level. This is how you use the results. You're thinking about your insights, you're building communication, you're building relationships, you're having the right conversations to focus your resources, your leadership expertise to move the district forward. And your schools are engaged in that process, so you are threading alignment all the way through the district. And then you can see the rest of what's on this slide of how that school and system quality factor diagnostic will be utilized. When you're doing your improvement planning, most high-quality improvement planning processes involve what you see here on the screen. You have an improvement planning process in the district. And what Advanced Ed always says is it's about continuous improvement. You might be using one process and you keep taking it to the next level based on what you've learned. So this is basically just to give you a snapshot of thinking about your own improvement planning process and how you might incorporate some of these different elements if they're not already there. And with the 90-day plans and state requirements, all of this is aligned. We don't ask you to do one more thing. We say, what is it that you're doing and how do you make it better? If it's a state-required process, we're threading that in so there is not extra work to do. The right work is being done, okay? But that's just to help you see the importance of that North Star that every high-performing organization should have and how their action plans drive the behaviors within the schools and the school district to really stay focused on your vision and mission and the goals that you have decided are important for your district to excel. On Act to Evaluate, on this slide, and it's like I told the principals this morning and shared this, you're looking at the bold words on this slide. You're really engaging in behaviors at the school and the district level that help you to identify, commit, conduct, consider, analyze, gather, share, and determine what your next steps are for this journey. Once again, that pulls the whole picture together for you, which leads to accreditation. And now I'm going to share with you this eProve tool. This is the school improvement and system improvement productivity tool that all schools in the district and the district have access to. These are the tools and resources for schools and systems that are in eProve. There's the diagnostics I talked about, and that impact of instruction is one that's under construction, should be ready in the fall. But this is really about your student performance data, and you have a lot of that already going. You can use that. Advanced Ed doesn't say you absolutely must use everything here. You're customizing your journey. What you're highly encouraged to do is make sure you use the climate and culture surveys, the student engagement survey, those inventories, and the impact of instruction. If you have a better process that meets your needs, that's what you use. And then, of course, there's that Elliott tool, again, that I mentioned earlier. When schools in the school district go into the eProve technology platform, they're going to see this. There's the Elliott, there's the surveys, and then you can see where the diagnostics icon is. The workspace is where all the information is housed. Strategies can then be developed based on your data. And then we're coming through with the analytics piece. That's the final piece of development in eProve, where schools and districts can pull it all together and really begin to use that data in very thoughtful ways. There's the 7 learning engagement environments that I talked about with the Elliott. In each of these environments, there are descriptors. They are rated from very evident to not evident. And once again, people who use this are certified to use the tool. And the cool thing is that you'll have 3 seats in 3 people in every school, and 3 folks at the district level that can all take advantage of this training. And you could begin to build an actual team across your district that's having conversations about student engagement based on the data, what it's telling you, and how to better measure and manage engagement in the learning process. The workspace is your collaborative area. Once again, all schools and the district are engaged and have access to it. So the Advanced Ed Improvement Network membership is $900 an annual fee. Each school has to be engaged, so each school is charged the $900 annual fee, and the district is charged the $900 annual fee. And basically, this is what's behind this network membership. That eProve with all the suite of tools and resources, it's what you're getting for your membership. And it's helping you to build your journey. These tools are powerful tools, and you need to use them if you're a part of the network. There's a lot to be learned by sharing this and building consistent communications across all your schools up through the district. It's getting everybody on the same page, but everyone has access to it. So being within the Advanced Ed network and paying that annual membership fee, you're getting access to all the tools. You're getting access to the improvement system and everything involved with it. Those are the 3 seats I talked about for online Elliott training and certification. Each school has 3 seats. The district gets 3 seats. Okay, and you can build a district-wide team that's focusing on the use of that very powerful observation tool. You have the ability to benchmark. There's all kinds of publications, communications, workshops. There's actually now a video source publication that, Dr. Ewing, I think you'd be really interested in seeing. And it's all about the effects of poverty in our schools across the nation. And I will share that with you so that you can also share that with your stakeholders here in the community. But that's an example. We're constantly looking at training and different workshops you can take advantage of. And there's 4 hours of annual one-on-one virtual support for the schools and the district to use as they choose when you're in the network. This is what the $900 a year gets you at the school and the district level. Okay? Here's the time frame. When you become an applicant, you begin to prepare for readiness. Now, here's the difference. You have about 7, I believe it's 7 high schools already in the network because they are already accredited by Advanced Ed. Was North Central in the past, it's now Advanced Ed. And when you have systems accreditation, now it's the district that's preparing for readiness, not the individual schools, okay? So your high schools are already in the network. They understand what this is about. That's a good thing. But all the elementary and middle schools that have not engaged in this in the past, they're going to be a part of the process, but it's the district level that's preparing for the readiness review. Once you have a successful readiness review, and that entails, do you have the capacity to meet these standards? Do you have a commitment to continuous improvement? And can you assure us that you can meet our assurances, that you really are committed to the process? And we go through like a half day to a full day of a team coming in and talking about your readiness. You host a successful readiness visit and you become a candidate. Then you have time to prepare for hosting the engagement review, keeping in mind you're cycling that continuous improvement process the whole time. From the time you become an applicant, you get started. You start moving. You don't wait till, well, we got to wait till we host an engagement review. No. This is about really using the return on investment for being members in the network. You get moving. And then once you host an engagement review, it's a 5-year accreditation cycle, if you will, but it's ongoing. We don't just show up and go away. We're constantly going to be asking, where do you need support, showing up to help you, and keeping you engaged. That's moving from the event to the mindset of continuous improvement and creating your roadmap for performance excellence by making this a true continuous improvement journey. So the expectations, once you get down the road and you're ready to host that visit, and there's no set real in stone time frame here. It's when you're ready. This is customizable. It's based on your needs. It's not Advanced Ed coming in saying you will do this. That's compliance. That's not how you engage and nurture education as a profession. This is really engaging everyone in this process. And you got to remember, there's some no nonsense to it because there's things you have to do, but you have to nurture people through this so they have buy-in, they understand the power, and they're excited about being a part of growing this systems framework to help us really benefit the children we serve. So you'll have a district focus visit. When a team comes in, it's not going to be a team for each school. It's going to be a team at the district level. The team is made up of both out-of-state and in-state members. That helps to balance perspectives. Your lead evaluator is always a nationally trained out-of-state member of the team. And for that reason, it's because we do specific training for systems accreditation lead evaluators. And we only use the best of the best across this nation to do this work. But then balancing it with in-state people brings context of where you are in New Mexico and why things look the way they do. So you have a true balance of an external lens coming in to help you. Stakeholder engagement, parents will be involved. Students will be involved when that visit's here. Your community will be involved. The board will be part of an interview where there'll be questions asked about how you do your work, how that engages to helping the district move forward. And there'll be classroom observations and interviews conducted at the school site, so the team will go out. When they show up, it's nonstop about you. Their commitment is about you. And they'll work morning all the way through the evening and into the night to discuss what they're learning about you in order to help you move forward. They'll do classroom observations using the Elliott, the interviews. They're going to look at the evidence you provide, not volumes of this whole room filled up. We used to do that. Now it's high quality. So it's what matters most. That's what we help you to understand and to be able to produce. And that the system standards then are rated by the team, and then we help you determine your next steps on your journey. If you want to learn more about this, we're in social media. There's lots of ways you can go in, take a look. The first piece, of course, is our website. You can look at the accreditation pieces. You could look at all the different techniques we're using for school improvement. You could look at the research, and it goes on and on. Of course, Facebook and Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And Dr. Mark Elgard, who is president and CEO of Advanced Ed, is quite well renowned in our national education scene and also now at the international level. And he's constantly doing all kinds of video clips to share research and help our schools and school districts come together to be able to keep moving student learning forward in our great nation and around the world. So lots to share there. And by engaging in this, you're actually going to have an opportunity to have folks from this district go and serve on other teams at the national level in systems and learn what's happening. And I know, Dr. Ewing, you've had experience with this, so I keep seeing your head shaking because of that experience base. It's very powerful, and it's different perhaps than what you've seen from our current process, but it is so much more research-driven now, and it's about what we've learned from everything we've done to this point in time and how we're moving schools forward based on the most current research, the best practices we know, and what we've learned from all the schools in the nation and around the world to keep us moving forward for performance excellence in education. Much better, and it's customizable. Those surveys, if you have some surveys, you could use the questions because they're going to drive how you complete your diagnostics, but you can add more to it and streamline. And I can't express this enough. Everyone is involved in this process. Your teachers play a role in this. They have to have this buy-in, and they have to understand the why as well. And we talked a little bit about that in the principal's information session, how the importance is that everybody understands it. So lots of communication, relationship building, learning the process. You don't rush yourself through it. You're very thoughtful about this because you want the impact to happen, and you want the celebrations to happen, and the solutions to move your system forward is in your people. And so engaging everyone in the process is absolutely the best thing a school district can do. We stand ready to support you, and we look forward to the opportunity to do so. So I stand for some questions if you have any questions.
Thank you, Dr. Murphy, for a very comprehensive explanation of advanced ed. As questions were bubbling up, you were then answering them. But board members, do you have any questions or comments on this process? I think we're good. Well, okay.
I just have one.
Ms.
Was this presentation included in our packet?
No.
And I was just wondering if maybe you could send it to us so that we can review it a little closer.
Oh, sure.
Let's go ahead and put it, Joe, can we, Dr. Murphy, would you give us permission to put this on the website? Is this?
At this point, you can do that, but it has to be in PDF format.
Okay, so
because of the advanced ed trademarks.
So, Ms. Galvan, can we PDF, and then you and Mr. Vega get this on? If you can put it on the superintendent's page under my information?
Certainly. That'd be awesome, because that really gets the communication rolling.
And then can we go ahead and email it to all principals, all district staff, and the board as well? So we'll have it sent to you. Would you prefer a printed copy as well, or are you okay with electronic?
Electronic is fine for me.
Yeah, that's fine.
And Madam President, members of the board, and Superintendent Ewing, we did have a handout for the principals this morning because I was taking them much deeper into what these surveys were so they could get their heads around how this is going to work. And Erlinda Martinez was there to help also guide the conversation. So it was fantastic. And we had a lot of principals come up at the end saying, this is awesome. It's going to really help us build a system of schools across this great school system that we have and get us to have the right conversations. So I was very pleased for that feedback because I'm always looking to see how can I make it even better to help people. For costs as well, just so I make one last clarification there, that's the $900 that I told you about with all the tools and resources on an annual basis. The cost then comes when you host an engagement review because you're going to pay for the fee for the engagement review and the costs of the teams, their travel, their meals, reimbursement. And a lead evaluator works with the district contact person to try to minimize those costs as much as possible. It's based, the cost structure right now is based on the size of the district, because that then equates to how many team members you need so they could get out to the schools and really do a high quality job of helping you take your next steps on your continuous improvement journey.
Wonderful. And so, Madam President, if I may,
Yes.
just to say to the board, We've taken some time this evening, but I want the board to see that under the leadership of my team and myself, we're involved in leadership and learning. And that's what you saw this evening. And so you saw me earlier announce, where's Tiffany and where's Dr. Wendy? So the three of us will probably be the only three excited people in the room, but this is the work that we will engage on and we've already started talking about. And we truly enjoy this, and we know the benefits of what this is going to be. Now, the high school principals are throwing a party because they no longer have to go through this process alone. They have the district. And then once again, just for our teachers to hear, this is not an evaluation of teachers in the district. This is not an evaluation of schools. This is an evaluation of the district. And once those results come in, as your leader, I will own those results, and then I will do what it takes to get us to the next step. So, Dr. Murphy, I can't thank you enough for coming down from Albuquerque and giving us this presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the opportunity, and blessings to all of you. Thank you for the work that you do for your children.
Thank you. Okay, moving along, we go to operations and the construction projects updates.
Yes, ma'am, Madam President. So first, let me just say we do not have a finance report. We've spent all the money. We have nothing to tell you today. And as we move,
I didn't mean to ignore it, but.
as we move to operations, it's my pleasure. Mr. Jaquez is on vacation, a much-needed vacation. So it's my pleasure to introduce Gloria Martinez, our Director of Construction, who's going to give the board a construction update.
Madam President, members of the board, and Mr. Superintendent, I'm going to show you some videos. I think that can see the project a lot better than just the regular presentation. And we're going to start off with Las Cruces High School. And on the left there, and yes, okay, this is the exterior of the new cafeteria. And this was taken about 2 weeks ago, so there's been a lot of progress. And they're working on the stucco. I walked around the building there, and it's a large building. On the right side is the interior of the cafeteria, and this is going to be a really nice cafeteria. Nancy and her staff toured the facility this week. There's a large eating area there, large kitchen in the back, and there's a lot of snack areas on either side. Going to be a welcomed asset to the school when that opens. And our next video, this is going to be the outside of the classroom wing. And this is going to be the east entrance to the classroom wing, the blue area right there. And we have planters out front there, and that's going to be the mall area. It'll all be concrete for students can sit out there and sip and eat lunch, or out there and congregate with other students, or just to sit and wait for their class or study or read a book. And on the right side is the interior classroom. I'm sorry, the interior classroom building, and this is the hallway. You can see we've already put the wainscoting of tile, and we've added some light in there by putting in some skylights because it was really dark. There isn't any windows in that interior one, so with the skylights, it adds a lot to that facility. Our next video is the outside of our new auxiliary gym, and this also we're working on the stucco area. They have all of the scaffolding in there, and you can see the size of this facility. And I guess that one's not running. There it goes. And that's going to be connected to the existing gym. And our video on the right is the interior of the auxiliary gym. And you can see they've already put up the basketball goals. They've put up the ductwork. And on the top there, they're going to put in a type of a skylight. That's a cal wall that I know Senora Flores had mentioned before. And it's a white paneling, opaque paneling, where it lets in light, but not the direct sunlight. That's a big auxiliary gym. Here, our next one we have there is, I wanted to show my favorite part of construction is demo. And this is the existing weight room, and that's going down. Or right now it's gone. It's completely demoed, but we had some video there of them demoing it. And that was the existing weight room, which was in the middle between the tennis court and the football field. That's what it looked like before. And then on the right side is demoing taking place. And it comes down really easily. So like I said, if you went on campus right now, you wouldn't see this building. It's completely gone.
That must be fun to do.
Yeah, I'd like to learn how to do that. I like demo.
Go and grab it.
Yes. Okay, then our next project is, I believe we have some video of Hermosa. Yes, this is Hermosa Elementary School. And this was a video of them putting up the beams that go up on top of the roof. Then the roof is supported by these beams. And this was done on a little bit of a windy day, so those beams are going back and forth, but they do control them and they put them up on top. And again, these were done 2 weeks ago and all the beams are up. And they're going pretty fast with this project also. This is the interior of the cafeteria. They had already put up the beams of the kitchen area. So you can see it was kind of windy that day, so the beam's going back and forth. Okay, and our next project, and that's all I have of videos. The next ones, I just have pictures. This is Horonata Elementary School, and this project's finished, so I want to show you the completed pictures. This is the new office area, and to the right is a new waiting area. Next. And this is inside, and the area to the left is where the secretarial staff will sit, and that's a gated door that comes down for security. And then these are clouds on the right to add some color and some acoustical effect into that large area, which is the waiting room. Right here, this is the secretarial work area with a large island space, and then on the right is the conference room. And then we had the principal's office with he just put in his furniture in there too. It's all complete and everybody's moved in. And now that school's out, it'll be ready for the fall staff to move in. Okay, this is Mayfield Kitchen Remodel and Expansion. We're getting ready to start this at the next board session. We will bring to the board the packet to approve the contractor that we have selected through an RFP process. Once that is approved by the board, we will start that project. And that is a new kitchen and new restrooms and expansion of the parking lot on the north side. Okay, these are new projects that we're going to be doing. These are security doors at Alameda Elementary School. This is a school that when anybody comes in, you can have direct access to the whole school, and you really don't have to stop at the office. So at the end of the hall here, we're going to put in security doors that are going to be locked, and that will force any visitors to go into the office area, sign in, and then they will be buzzed into the school after they've been approved or after the staff has taken the appropriate information from them. Other than that, nobody can go into the school, so it'll be a nice, secure school. We're also doing this at the next school, which is Bocacho Middle School, and that was a kind of particular school to get to because as you come in, the office area is in the middle of the school, so what we're going to do is we're going to put doors in the front entrance so that, on either side here so that nobody can go into the hallways other than you'd have to be going right to the office. Once you get to the office, you can't go anywhere else in the school because there'll be secure doors there, and then you can be buzzed into the main part of the school. Our next school is Fair Acres. This is similar to Alameda. The new security doors are going to be right in front there. We're going to cut a door into the office so that when we get visitors, they're going to be directed into the office. That's the only way they can go. The security doors will be locked, and any visitors would have to be buzzed into the school. And that's all, and I stand for questions.
Board members, do we have any questions?
Not at this time.
Okay,
Thank you for the
Thank you.
videos. That was very good.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Martinez. Madam President?
Yes.
And next, we have a Safe Routes to School presentation. Again, with Mr. Jaquez not here, I'm going to ask Ms. Ashley Curry, our Safe Routes to School coordinator, if she would come forward. And we'd like to show the board a presentation on Safe Routes to School. Ashley?
Thank you. Madam President, members of the board, Mr. Superintendent, members of the audience, thank you very much for having us here. It's an honor to be here tonight. I'd just like to start off with a small background, just some introductions. I brought with us tonight our Safe Routes to School champions. This is Diane Navarez, Annalisa Grijalva, and Todd Gregory. We also have a number of other people who support our program. We have staff at various schools who are paid with a small stipend from our funds. We have volunteers. We have a coalition. I'll talk to you about that. And a little bit about our funding. We are funded by the New Mexico Department of Transportation and the New Mexico Department of Health. And so they are integral members of our team as well. Safe Routes to School. I know we have some new school board members. And Dr. Ewing, I'm not sure how familiar you are with Safe Routes to School around the country. It is a national program that was started in 2006. We started here in Las Cruces, actually. Originally, the city started the program. The Metropolitan Planning Organization actually started the program here. We moved it to the school district in 2012. But we have been going for about 12 years now in Las Cruces. The 6 E's of Safe Routes to School were based on engineering, education, encouragement, enforcement, equity, and evaluation. So I'll tell you a little bit about how we're handling all of those E's within the school district. Really, the backbone of our program and the guiding force of our program is the coalition. We have really, really amazing partners throughout the community. We partner with the police department, with the city, with the county, with the MPO, with the Department of Health, Healthy Kids Las Cruces, members from the school district as well, community volunteers. And we meet every single month to discuss anything that might need to be done, whether it's enforcement related. The city engineer comes to our meetings. We have a really great group of people so that we can all be on the same page. At one point, we had a school siting committee that met separately, that was school board, the school superintendent and city manager, and we'd really love to kind of get that back going again as well. What we do. So we do a number of things with kids. We do walking school buses and bike trains. So every single week, rain or shine, we have 20 of our elementary schools that meet at a certain location, meet at a park or at a starting point. Parents can drop kids off there, or kids can walk to that starting location. We'll walk to school, pick up kids along the way, and get kids to school safely. So those are all under the supervision of staff members and volunteers. We also have bicycle and pedestrian education. We go into the classrooms. This past year, we went into 22 of the elementary schools, and we taught a 4-part curriculum that includes a field trip, a walking field trip with the kids. And so we did that with all 3rd grade students at 22 of our elementary schools. We're going to be expanding our curriculum. One of our goals is really sustainability. And so we have been working with Jim Mayes, who oversees the PE curriculum, and we are going to have the PE coaches be teaching the 3rd grade curriculum because they've seen us do it for a few years now, and we're going to, the Safe Routes to School staff, we're going to add in a 1st grade and a 5th grade curriculum. Different things for different ages, but we're going to continue to work with that. And we have events that we do. We have 3 really big kind of signature events that we do every year. One of them is International Walk to School Day, and we had every single school, elementary school in the district participate. This was the 2nd year in a row that we had 100% participation for those events. And I know several of our school board members, and I know we had Councillor Pedrosa here earlier. We have city council members who walk with us every year as well. We also have a family bike fiesta, and this year we had 153 kids who came. We did it at Young Park, where kids came and got bikes repaired. We did bike education. We gave away 130 helmets. We had just a really, really wonderful event. And again, this was the 2nd year that we did that. We've done it at individual elementary schools in the past. This year we chose to do, the past couple of years, we chose to do citywide events, and that's been really successful. And those events lead up to National Bike to School Day. National Bike to School Day was the beginning of May. We had 22 schools who participated, encouraging kids to bike to school, as well as some walking to school as well for kids who weren't able to participate with the biking. We also have done school bus and city bus driver education to teach school bus drivers, 140 school bus drivers, and the city bus drivers how to drive around pedestrians and bicycles. We work very closely with the police department, with the sheriff's department, the Monsieur Marshal's office. Codes enforcement helps us enormously every week with our walking school buses. There's a picture there at MacArthur with the kids walking across the school assisted by law enforcement. And of course, the school crossing guards are an integral part of our program as well. We are doing an evaluation right now where we're kind of looking at the past 10 years and seeing what we've done and where we need to be going. We've just done student travel tallies at 24 elementary schools. That meant we interviewed close to 12,000 students for 3 days in a row, how they get to school and how they get home from school. We've been doing these student travel tallies at various schools for 10 years. So we're now able to kind of mark if we're improving, how we're improving. So we'll be crunching that data this summer, again, with a lot of help from Department of Health. We also did parent surveys, same thing that we've done for the past few years at elementary schools. We did a little incentive for the schools to return those. We had an amazing response from Loma Heights with 56% return from their parents on the parent surveys. So Loma Heights received $500 from our program. Doña Ana, $250 in third place. Hermosa Heights with 31% return, they got $100. We've also interviewed principals and just finding out what has worked and what needs improvement at their various schools. We plan to just continue going with what we're doing. Again, education, we're going to be doing a little adding on the first grade and fifth grade, where those 5 schools that don't currently have programs, we're assessing whether we can add regular walking school buses. Some of them, it just is difficult because of the infrastructure around the schools. If it isn't safe to walk to schools, we're not going to be encouraging kids to walk if there isn't adequate infrastructure. We've got a great enforcement program. We'll continue that. We'll be working with the city engineer to develop walking routes from all 4 directions to every school and helping them determine where to spend city funds on sidewalk improvements, infrastructure improvements, things like that. We'd like to move into some more middle school education, so I'd like to really do some evaluation on what's going on with the middle schools as well. On a national level, Safe Routes to School really does K-8. Because we have funding from the Department of Health, we can do some high school work, but really primarily we focused on elementary school. And equity is our 6th E, and it's just, we do it always in every way. We try to do everything that we do in Spanish and English, offer bilingual announcements that go home, or anything that we do. We really try to make our program available to everybody on every level. And our biggest piece for sustainability is to continue our partnerships. So I just thank you for your support. Thank you for hearing us tonight. And I invite you to participate when school starts back on International Walk to School Day. You'll hear from us and get an invitation, and I really hope that you'll be able to participate with us in that. And I will stand for questions.
Thank you, Ms. Curry, for your presentation. Board members, do we have any
I don't have any questions, but I have a comment. I remember meeting you in January when I was running for election, and you were very courteous and you entertained my visit. But all the time, she was working with the kids, all the time, and I was very impressed with her, and I was very impressed with the volunteers as well. So thank you for your service.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for working with our children.
Well, thank you for coming out. I really appreciated that. I remember that bike train at Missy Elementary.
Yes.
So thank you again for coming out. And I encourage you any time of the year to come and join us. I know we've had wonderful support from our school board, and I thank you all.
And Madam President, if I may, this was a couple of weeks ago, so we've talked about this before. We had a teacher pass away at Hermosa Heights in the middle of the year, the 5th grade students. It was a very traumatic experience. So I had promised them that I would take them for ice cream if they were nice with the new teacher. And so on next to the last day of school, I think it was, I went with Ms. Dahlman and Mr. Armillo, and we were going to walk 18 students from Hermosa Heights to the Chick-fil-A, which is about 3 blocks away. And so as we lined them up, we decided that Mr. Armillo and I would be in front and Ms. Dahlman would be in back. And I have to say, we needed your training, even walking 18 students. Now, halfway through, I decided that I would take a break and actually end up at the end. That 3-block walk was more than I thought it was. But we were very cognizant of what skills you need to walk students, because we were on Lowman, and that was a dangerous road to have students on. And so I can tell your training has paid off because they were very well aware. I had Todd with me. We had a police escort. We stopped traffic. We had police cars. They have never been walked to Chick-fil-A that way before. But we were being extra careful and extra cautious. And so I saw firsthand that your work has paid off.
Thank you very much.
So
I
can't
appreciate
thank
that,
you
Dr. Ewing.
enough. And I do want to ask Cameron, now, you may not know, but Cameron is just finishing the 10th grade, although I think he's sometimes 15 going on 30. But Cameron, do you think we need to do something with high school students with awareness?
You know what, Dr. Ewing, at Centennial, walking and biking to school is virtually non-existent, but I do think I need to talk to my colleagues within the Student Advisory Council and see how that works at our other 3 comprehensive high schools.
Can you work
And
on that?
I will, yes, sir.
Let us know.
Well, and Dr. Ewing, if I may add, one of the things that we've done, knowing that high school students don't want mom to come and hold their hands and walk them to school like the elementary schools kids love to do, we have involved the high schools in leadership, and so they've come with us on International Walk to School Day and helped us support the program in those ways as well. And sometimes I think when they are put out to be the role model, they behave a little bit, they remember the skills that they learned when they were in elementary school.
Yeah, no, I think that's great.
I have a question, Ms. Curry. Which is the least walkable school? I can imagine, but which is the least walkable?
There are several of them. I would probably put Columbia out there right now as the least walkable, just because there really aren't any facilities along there. There's some of them that are more rural. Doña Ana, Fair Acres has a no walking, biking policy because they're on
The major.
major road. So we have, we've kind of talked in the past about cutting through a farm in the backyard. We've really looked at any school that's open to looking at it. But I think for the most part, the schools that are walkable are walking.
Columbia would be most swimmable school.
Yeah.
It floods every time it rains, and so you swim there instead of
Start a
walk.
swim to school program.
Yeah. Thank you again.
Thank you again. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you so much.
Congratulations for
And
your
thank you
work.
guys for
Thank
coming
you.
tonight. We appreciate it very much. And Todd, I think I'm remiss. I did not call you up earlier this evening, did I? So we, Madam President and members of the board, we have promoted Mr. Gregory to Director of Public Safety from his position before. And so-
Congratulations.
And the ice cream was good, too. I just-
Yes, we all had ice cream.
Okay, well, thank you for that. And we'll move on to board new items.
Yes, ma'am.
We have Dr. Laura Gutierrez Spencer to present on a program, Generaciones.
Madam President, members of the board, Mr. Superintendent, thank you for having me here tonight. I'm here to talk about Generaciones. It's a mother-daughter program for 5th grade girls and their mothers. Presently, we're at MacArthur Elementary and North Valley Elementary in the Gadsden School District. Basically, this program is and first, let me preface this with I'm not asking for funding, so so everybody can relax.
Thank you for that.
Yeah. Don't worry. So this program is based on research that says that by the 5th grade, girls need specific roles for their goals for their lives. They need a good relationship with her mother or a mother figure, and they need positive self-esteem. And that is a citation for the research upon which it's based. Another goal that I added to the program since I joined Chicano Programs, I inherited this program when I arrived at my job 21 years ago. So this program has been going on about 24 years. And so another goal that I added to the program is familiarity with a college campus, because also research shows that if students have never been on a college campus, it's very difficult for them to imagine themselves being there, and therefore why would they want to go to college, continue their education, either a 4-year or a 2-year institution, which we all know is so important. So in terms of selecting a school, we work through, like I said, through specific schools. That's the only way to manageably manage this program. So we look for a school with a low-income population, a high Hispanic or minority population. This is very important, a school with a full-time counselor or social worker, otherwise it just doesn't work, and also a principal who is supportive of this program, because as you all know, the principal is key. The program is managed basically in the spring semester of every year. We have 4 Saturday morning sessions in the spring. Buses bring mothers and daughters to campus. We as much as possible, try to reimburse the schools for those buses. We serve a hot breakfast, and we ask that for each session, one school counselor or teacher or principal, someone from the school attend each session. It helps encourage the confidence of the mothers, especially the mothers and daughters, to come, and creates that connection with the school. Then we tell the mothers and the daughters that if they attend at least 3 of the 4 sessions, then they earn the right to come on the overnight field trip. The girls get very excited because they get to go swimming and spend the night at the dorms and swim in the pool. And we do continue our fun educational activities, and we present to the mothers about DACC if they want to continue their education perhaps at DACC. So this is the basic schedule for the Saturday morning sessions. We always have a female professional talk about her career, how she got into college. We tour part of campus, and then we split the mothers and daughters and in separate sessions and continue working on those goals. These are some of the women that have served as the professional speakers, so we really try to move around different specialties of study. So the girls are exposed and the moms are exposed to different professions, and they can talk about what goal, what do you want to be when you grow up and go to college, sort of thing. So basically, I'm here today because we have had more and more difficulty funding Generaciones. It's been funded through the university through a special fund, but as you know, for everybody, things are getting harder and harder. We have applied for grants, but we haven't received any funding because we haven't had any data. And as you know, data is crucial to grant funding. So if we could get data from your school district on high school graduation for these girls and then compare it to your basic graduation, of course, we would not report individual names. We would report on the cohort. That would be of great help to us in this program.
Sure. And so, Madam President, first let me just thank Dr. Gutierrez Spencer. She is Director of Chicano Studies Program at NMSU.
Actually, Chicano programs.
Programs.
Not the studies.
Has been in my office, and we definitely have agreed upon a working relationship and what we can do for the benefit of students here. And so with permission from the board, we will continue that engagement, and I will direct staff to work directly with you. And so we will do whatever we need to do. This is exactly what we need to do for the students in this district. And as I look at your slides, one of the things that I see as an outsider coming in during my 90-day Look, Listen, and Learn tour is we have a district with 78% Hispanic students, and they are not applying for the scholarships or the opportunities that could be afforded to them to a university. And so we've got to do a better job of that.
Thank you. Can I also add that we do Chicano programs, we do preparing for college workshops, and we're happy to go into the schools, parent groups, whatever, and do them in English and Spanish. So, and of course, many resources at the university, but that's just one thing to add.
Yes.
Madam President, members of the board, with your permission, I'd like to just recognize really quickly someone in the audience who I think you'd really enjoy knowing. You know who I'm talking about? Yes, this is a sister of your general counsel and cousin of your recent retiree. One of the most renowned novelists and poets of the state of New Mexico is in the audience, and a dear friend of mine, Demetria Martinez. So I just wanted to recognize her.
Welcome, Demetria, to our boardroom. I'm sure it's riveting information for you. I did spy her there, and I was going to say something. Getting back to Dr. Gutierrez Spencer, I want to thank you for presenting today. I think this program is really important as well. And even though it's just the 4 sessions in a weekend, I think the impact of it for our girls is big. So I appreciate the work that you're doing. Board members, do you have any questions or comments?
I just want to comment that.
No, it's okay. Yes.
Oh, go ahead.
Yes.
Go ahead.
No, no. Did you have a comment for her?
Oh, I just want that's a very noble enterprise. And Ms. Spencer, I think I've known you for some time and really appreciate your work. But you have my full-hearted support, Dr. Ewing. And what you're doing, so.
Thank you. No,
Anyone else?
It shouldn't be real hard to supply this data. I mean, should it?
I'm
And
hoping
in
not.
fact, maybe we can
No,
even
the
do
only
more.
thing that, we do what all school systems do, and that is, we try to protect data, probably sometimes too much. But what I have instructed staff to do is, Mr. Vega will work with legal counsel, and we will follow whatever steps legal counsel outline for us so that we can share information. It's for the benefit of students. And if I may point out to the board this evening, we announced 4 new assistant superintendents, and I'm proud to show you, 3 of those 4 were women. And so, and in this business, women tend to be teachers instead of leaders, and so where are the ladies in the back? I can't be more proud of all of them.
Thank you. And anyone else?
I was just going to say that I wish that this program had been around when I was a child. It would have made a difference. Yeah.
We're fortunate, we find, some of the girls who come to NMSU and they say, I remember you. I remember I was in this program. They usually don't remember what it was called, but.
That's great.
Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. Mr. Arellano, did you have a comment?
I have a small question. Is this building, is there anything for boys also?
I knew you were going to ask that. Unfortunately, I've written grants and gone to the legislature a couple times, and every time I've done that, it's been voted down. I haven't been able to get it. But that's very important. It's extremely needed. And a number of us, my colleagues and I, have worked on proposed plans, but we haven't been able to get the funding. I wanted to do a summer program for boys because, as you know, a lot of times they're at loose ends, they don't have anything to do, and they can get in trouble. So if anybody knows of any grant opportunities or something, let me know, because you're right, it's extremely important. It's sad, I go to the classrooms, went to MacArthur, and the teachers took the boys out of the program to talk to the girls, and some of the my heart broke. They were upset, like, well, where's our program?
Oh.
So
Okay. Well, thank you for that question, and why didn't we think of asking it either? Good heavens. Okay, we move on to a presentation on Raíces del Saber Sinachitli Community School presentation, and Veronica Lucia Carmona.
Madam President, I have handouts for the board,
Okay.
if I may.
And I noticed that there's a bit of public input. I don't know if Ms. Pedrosa left already, but I'll have Ms. Oliver Lewis give her comments after this presentation, okay? Or do you want?
Monica, I think,
Oh.
Monica,
Okay.
Dr. Carmona, could you give me just 1 second with the
Yes.
president?
Yes, what's going on? Okay. Okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Carmona.
Okay. All kinds of distractions today, but go ahead.
Well, thank you for allowing me, Madam President, board members, Dr. Ewing. I'm Lucia Carmona, Lucia Veronica Carmona. For over 14 years in this county, working as a community organizer in las colonias in all the county, all over the county. And knowing this community, when we started this adventure to work in a possibility to open each other school, to address, I started to ask myself, how do we address intergenerational historical trauma in our communities, in our families? Why our families are not engaged? There's a lot of resources in the communities, and why we don't vote? Why we don't do this and that? So, and I was going back in my journey to understand my roots and identity, and I see myself in those families where our parents were being cut their knowledge of our who we are, where we come from, and I found this opportunity learning more about the concepts of our indigenous background also, and the wonderful thing is not only entailed to those who claim their identity as indigenous, but it's for everybody. The Mayan, the Mesoamerican indigenous knowledge applies to our universal concepts and knowledge. So what I want to say is that I was fortunate to have this to put together this wonderful team, and put together an application. And we decided we were ready to submit it this June to the Public of Education, and we decided to wait another year to strengthen our application, expand our relationship in the community, and also the possible partnerships that we can connect here in the community with the Las Cruces Public School, with NMSU, the College of Education. They are really interested in this project. So the Raíces del Saber Xinachli Community School. Xinachli is a Nahuatl word. The meaning is it's not the seed, it's the moment when the seed explode or germinate, and it has infinite possibilities to be. It's not anymore a seed, but it's still not a plant. And that is how our children, we consider something like the Xinachli moment. And this project is a charter school of K through 5, dual language emerging, and with the dual language 80-20. I will, if you have more questions about this model, this project, this process, 80% of Spanish language and the first K in first grade, and 20% of English, and then continue progressive until 4th and 5th grade will be 50-50. So this model, we have the New Mexico dual language training our partners, our teachers, well, future teachers. There's a team already of educators, nonprofit sector, elected officials. So this is a strong project that right now is already with a board of directors that are committed to this. So raíces, the roots, that's how we said raíces grounded in community, raíces wisdom of the planted seed, raíces that nurture our children, raíces a natural means of lasting, raíces roots of knowledge. And the mission is like we said, we went to this is a dual language school, experiential learning community, charter school reclaiming Mesoamerican heritage. It's in our community, in a border region, in a culturally diverse community rooted in millenary history. Like we said, we have also indigenous groups here in this area, the Piro Manso. Actually, recently we have another community from the Raramuri, where two states and two countries blend the culture and confronting a lot of challenges like language, immigration issues, and multiple things. Raíces innovative, unique. It's a curriculum that a teacher, in some other elders in this area were able to put together using the Mesoamerican concepts, Nahuatl Aztec heritage language. It's part of the curriculum. Will be dual language English Spanish as an enrichment language, the Nahuatl language, indigenous forms of continuing dialogue, and in math applying these Mesoamerican concepts, scientific concepts and math, the Mayan numerology also, and using the Aztec calendar to learn more about the behavior of the nature to our daily life.
If I may, and the board probably knows this, but from my studies at the University of Guadalajara, which obviously I need to continue more as you hear me butcher these Spanish words, I was not aware till I went there about Nahuatl, and that in Mexico, that is the second language of the government.
Yes, they still.
The requirement that everything be in that language. So
Yeah.
as I read through your initial information, I have to say, this is very research-based, very sound, and she really is following the instructional model of Mexico. So not to interrupt you, but I have to tell you that this is very impressive, and your 90-10, 80-20, 50-50 model exactly matches the research from
Yes.
K1, 2, 3 to 4, 5.
Yes, and that's why we believe that going in this with the little ones, like K, the elementary level, can allows to the child the foundation to be ready for their school life.
Yes.
No matter what area, will continue in a charter school model or the public school. And actually, one of our I think it's our main mission, it's our focus is to contribute to the school system, not to compete, not to have this project in our little island and only for Mexican American or claiming indigenous heritage. But we really are clear and understandable of the global challenges that we have, and we really support or advocate for a multicultural, multi-language model. And definitely the 80-20 help us to, especially to our over 80%, almost 80% of our population in the school district is Mexican American and the Hispanic, Spanish-speaking population. There's a timeline for this process, and it's take almost a year to submit this application. And at the beginning, when we started with this process, I approached to Dr. Ying to see the possibility maybe if the school district can explore this possibility and host us and apply through the school district. So there's a possibility to do it even through the state or through the school district. We still have another year to think about it and work together. We already have in place the application, and we have we will work over the next months to strengthen that application and submit maybe to your attention if you're interested and learn more about what we have. And we put together this incredible team as board members, like Mr. Ray Reich is a business guy sector. He's a businessman retired. He lives in Santa Teresa. Irene Oliver Lewis is here, incredible advocate for greatness, Cruces and arts and everything. Miss Laura Flores, she's one of the school board in Gadsden recently. Olga Pedrosa, City Council, she will retire soon, and she says, I will dedicate more of my time to this project. They love the project. Silvia Sierra, she's a former director from the Health and Human Service Department of the county. Wanda Tames, she's one of the directors of this department at NMSU with the MC2. The mathematic, and Nicolas Natividad, you already are familiar with him from NMSU, and Monica Telles, she's one of the parents that is right now here. And so this incredible team, but I think that all of us are inspired with this project, and this curriculum, the Chinashli, is a Chinashli curriculum that we call, that Mr. Carlos Aceves is a bilingual teacher in Canutillo for almost 10 years. He implemented this curriculum. He was the author of this curriculum and was able to implement it and just enriching the elementary Canutillo school. And they improved, they increased their grades and involve it. He was able to involve the parents and the whole school. In your package, there is a number of letters of support that have been submitted to support this project. And there's a letter from the superintendent right now, the high school of Canutillo, who was the principal during that time. And he spoke a little bit more about his experience during this project, this process. And just to finish, I just want to let you know, I'm a fellow with the NACA Inspire Schools Network. This is a Native American Community Academy in Albuquerque. They have this program to engage fellows that are willing to promote these kind of projects, like kind of charter schools using indigenous knowledge in the curriculum. And they were surprised that we talk about this indigenous concept, but from Mexico. And they said, well, we are in New Mexico and we never hear about it. And they love this concept and they are completely supporting us through this process. If you have any questions,
thank you, Veronica, for presenting. She had approached me to bring this presentation to us because she wanted to know how we as a board or as board members would like to support. You realize this is a charter school and they're going through the charter school application, but and you were going to apply this year, and now it's changed to 2018. So it gives us time to think about it and to see how do we want to support it as a board, a whole board, or do we want to support it individually? And then also if Dr. Ewing supports it as well. Am I correct in that?
Correct. Yes.
Understanding? Yes, okay, so that's why they presented to us today. What the next step would be to inform ourselves and perhaps see what you need from us, and then move forward with it as we can. Now, any comments or questions for Veronica from the board? Any thoughts?
Yeah, we need to, define what you mean by support. I mean,
Well, I
that
mean, it's
not
financial. It's not, that's not what it is. It's, do we as a board support it, or as we as individual citizens support it? Okay, that's what I'm talking about.
Okay, thank
And
you.
I think, Madam President, what we will do is we'll certainly work with the group of individuals. We've met already in my office before. On the surface of the theme, I can't think of a better school. I do have to say, to issue a caveat, as a teacher, I very much believe in public education and public schools, although I do believe there is a time and place for charter schools. And as a superintendent, I'm first to admit I don't have an opinion on anything. The opinion really is I'm here at the pleasure of the board when it comes to these types of decisions. My administration would simply review the application and then make a recommendation or not, whether the board wishes to approve. In my 31 years in this business, what I've seen is typically schools that are under the state supervision as a charter school are treated a little bit better than schools under a school district supervision for many reasons. One, the public education department is going to be tougher on us to be tougher on you. And then if we go the route of the state system, you have access. I see my lobbyist in the front nodding yes. You have easier access to funding from them, and actually the application process is easier.
Yes.
One of the caveats that we must always be wary of is you will receive the same amount of funding per student that we receive in the district, but it's the school building that usually gets charter schools in trouble. Where public schools have those buildings free, then you have to come up with the funding for a school building. And so
Yes.
that tends to be what causes charter schools to have some issues. And as you work through that, that's probably the most important aspect, is to identify the source of funding for your building or for your rent. And then I am certainly willing to say, as we go through this academic school year, that we should have continued dialogue and conversation and look at what is best for your application process. And then I'm certainly amenable, if the board so wishes, we would put this in front of the board and give you the pros and cons, both of what would happen if we were to support it and what would happen if she were to go to the state.
Okay, so
does
we have the information in front of us, and we will then inform ourselves better about it. And we also have we had 3 people for public input, and it's related to this.
Okay.
So I'm going to go ahead and call them up. And thank you, Veronica, for your presentation.
Thank you very much.
If I can call up Irene Oliver Lewis, please.
Madam President, school board members, superintendent, I am Irene Oliver Lewis, and I'm coming to you today because I am one of the board members that Lucia talked to me about the charter school. Just for those of you who do not know, I have a lot of background and history with the school board, the Las Cruces Public Schools, because I am now retired as the artistic director, producer, and founder of the first charter school of Las Cruces and the Court Youth Center. So I come to you with more than 10 years' experience in the charter school movement, and when Lucia came to me to assist, I didn't want to do anything. I'm retired, I said, but actually, New Mexico, you can't get away with not knowing everybody. And so Lucia was part of my life when I lived in Albuquerque and so was Demetria. Both of them helped me with the bilingual theater that I had there as a writer, and we produced one of Demetria's show, and as a musician. And so we all come together. So I couldn't say no. And the other thing is the concept of this school is like no other charter school in the whole state. And so I said, yes, I would help her through this process to make this happen. I'm here to tell you this is the beginning of the discussion. When Alma de Arte started, you could only become authorized through your local school board. So I worked with the staff here in the pros and cons of creating a charter school. Too bad Erlinda's not here. She was the one that led that process. And for the first 5 years, we were authorized through you guys, through the school board. And then the state charter schools started, and then we became authorized through the state. You do get more money. It is a different type of system, and different things come in, whoever is your authorizer. I do want to make a clarification. The charter schools are public schools. In New Mexico, we are public schools. We have to adhere to everything that you adhere to as a school board, as a district, and we are part of that. And this is just the beginning to start a conversation with you, and from Alma, we learned that we could not be successful unless we were a partner with the public schools. And we did that with everything. When certain things happened, even when we became state chartered, state authorized, I would connect with the district in things that affected our kids because they're all part of the community. So I am here to tell you that I'm committed to this process and to ask your support in us walking together in where we need to go, whether it's state authorized or school authorized. So muchas gracias a todos. I just have to make an observation. I spent a lot of time here when I was in the whole thing. I want to thank you. There's a real difference in the atmosphere. I wrote it down. There's a difference in content, atmosphere, and essence of what you are doing. So I applaud you very, very much in seeing what's happening in our district.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And if I could have Monica Garcia Tellez, please come up.
Madam President, members of the board, and Mr. Superintendent, my name is Monica Garcia Tellez, as they mentioned, and I would like to thank Lucia for mentioning me as a board member. I'm just a little piece of brick supporting this big project, and I'm just a simple community parent. Then I want to test my genuine belief in this project. As a parent, it's very important the way they have committed themselves to work with our kids in the community. Myself, I should say, charter schools should not exist, but don't take me wrong. It's not because of the title of being a charter school, but because all of the schools should have the same method of education and the same opportunity to have that closeness with schools and students, teachers and parents, and us as parents should be more compromised to be entitled to be related and be above other parents. And we'll have the opportunity to go through the school and ask for how our children are doing, and our kids have that opportunity, but most of our parents are unable to do that. They don't have the time. And I should say I'm a single mother. I work mostly full-time, and I have my beautiful princess. She's attending to one of the charter schools now in the middle school, La Academia Dolores Huerta. And I have seen a success with her, and I have seen improvement on her teaching and her education. I'm not against the district school method of teaching. I support it, I appreciate it, because it's free. In other countries, they don't have that, they have to pay for even a single pencil to be used. So I appreciate that. She has been blessed born in this country where she has free education. But I really support this project. As a parent, I believe that it's great, not just for my child, but for all of our kids in the community. Nothing else to say. Thank you for your opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Tellez. Thank you very much. And Ms. Pedrosa left, right? She's not here.
She had to leave, but she echoes what we said.
Okay, all right, okay. Well, thank you very much for the presentation and for the public comment. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Dr. Carmona, very much.
Let's see, that takes us on to, we are going to move on to the next item, which is the special education due process. We need to take a vote on this. We talked about it in closed executive. I will entertain a motion to approve the authorization of legal counsel and superintendent to proceed with the legal strategy as discussed in executive session in the special education due process complaint docketed as DPH 1617-24.
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Dahlman. And Mr. Castro, second. And should we do a roll call vote, or, yes, why don't we do, Mr. Frank, if you'll do a roll call vote, please.
Yes, Ms. Dowman,
I vote yes.
Mr. Castro,
Yes.
Senora Flores,
Yes,
and I would vote yes.
so the motion passes.
Do you want to call?
Mr. Jaramillo, we could, and then keep him on the phone for the next vote as well. We're gonna go ahead and call him. I gave him the number just a little while ago, so
Do we,
take a minute to wait, and then. we'll-
control room, are we able to get Mr. Aramillo on the telephone?
And he said he would answer because he had a presentation to do, so if he was in the middle of the presentation, then he wouldn't answer the phone.
Okay,
but-
so my NMSU professor friends in the audience, can we may need to write him a note of excuse for his professor.
He's probably done already.
He might be done, yes.
Senora, will you read the motion again for his benefit?
Okay.
Because he might be confused as to which one he's voting on.
Right, do we have Mr. Aramillo on the telephone?
Not yet, not yet. They're working on it.
Okay.
Sorry to stall things.
Hello, this is Ray.
Mr. Jaramillo? We just took a roll call vote on let me see, on the legal strategy as discussed in the special education due process complaint docketed in closed session, and we took a roll call vote. All of us voted yes, and would you care to vote now?
Yes, I would. I would vote yes as well.
Okay, and can you stay on the line because we have the next vote as well, okay?
Yes, I'll stay on the line.
Okay, so that is now a unanimous vote, and that passes. We will now move on to the approval of the evaluation. I will entertain a motion to approve the evaluation that we worked on before in closed executive for the evaluation of the superintendent.
So moved.
Okay, Mr. Frank made a motion, or made the first, and Mr. Castro a second, and we will take a roll call vote again.
Ms. Dowman,
I vote yes.
Mr. Castro,
Yes.
Senora Flores,
Yes,
and I vote yes. And Mr. Jaramillo,
I
how do
vote
you
yes.
vote?
can you say it again?
I vote yes.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Jaramillo. We'll go ahead and let you get back to your class, okay?
Okay,
So,
thank you very much.
Thank you. And so the motion passes, and we will go into closed executive in just a little bit to finish that. Okay, we move on to old business and to Miss Kathy.
Are y'all's brains dead?
No, we're
Okay,
still
we're okay.
awake, okay?
We're okay.
We're just a little bit longer.
Okay, so, Madam President, members of the board, and Mr. Superintendent, I missed the first reading on these policies, so I'm going to take just a minute to share some information with you. So first, I'm going to hand these to you guys so you can pass them down and each take one.
Okay.
Okay.
So USDA established the need for wellness policies in all school districts across the United States, but they only asked that we address a couple of areas that are related to nutrition and physical activity. However, the state took a different approach and added some additional things to it. So I wanted to first share this with you. Back when I still worked at public health, which would have been in the early 90s, every state went about designing their model of a coordinated school health. And if you look at most states, they're squares and circles and things that overlap. But I remember sitting in this meeting in the Department of Health, and we were all arguing about what ours should look like. And some amazing person came up with this beautiful design that's very specific to New Mexico that represents the wellness of our students. So if you see the flower of the yucca says healthy students there. So the wellness policies in the state of New Mexico has to address all of the leaves of the yucca. So we have policies in all of these areas that are considered a portion of our wellness policy, and so that's the ones we have been working on updating. And when we finally submit everything, and I hope in a couple of weeks, to the state, it will be, there's about 12 policies that all fall in all of these areas that are part of New Mexico. So that's, ours is a bit different from other states, but we're trying to address the whole child and not just a couple of areas. So I just wanted you to be aware of kind of where we are in New Mexico and how it compares to other places. So the first policy is ADF, and that's our overarching policy. And Mr. Hawkes got the notes of the things you needed changed in this, and so I believe all of those have been made. So do you have any additional questions?
We have our new added language.
Yes, ma'am.
Any questions on this policy? Okay.
No, I reviewed it.
Okay.
Okay.
So then the next one is?
Okay. So I'm trying to make sure I get them. Okay.
No,
the next
that's fine.
policy is JLJ, which is the student nutrition policy, and this is when there's quite a few changes in this one. The definition of smart snacks was added, and this one had probably the most changes, and the regulation that goes with this will have the most changes because those were directed by USDA. So I think we made all the changes that you requested there. Is there any additional questions?
A little bit. Scroll down.
Can we scroll down in the control room?
That's it.
No, there's a page 2. On D.
During school hours, all foods and beverages. Okay. Did you have any questions on that?
No.
I don't. Okay. Board members, are we okay with this one?
I'm okay.
Okay.
Okay. The next one is the competitive food sales and vending machines policy. And so after this was submitted for your board packet and we were comparing policies, we did find an error in this one that we need to correct. So if you will go to, go down, Bill. It's the under vending trucks, which is D, number 1. Right there, thank you. So our policy for about 15 years in this district has been that no one can come on campus and sell during lunch. The only food sales are to be done by the Nutrition Services Department. So I needed to change number 1 to basically say that. So what we're proposing is it would say private non-school vending trucks could not sell during lunch on LCPS property. Outside of the lunch period, they can only come on school grounds with permission of the school principal or the superintendent and his designee. If parked on school grounds, vending trucks can only sell foods and beverages that comply with student nutrition regulation, JLJR, which is the food sales rules grid, which is what complies with smart snacks and the additional regulations that we have.
So we need to add that into here. Is what you're
Well,
saying.
so really all we're doing is changing that first part that says they can come on during lunch. The rest of it, then we just added the statement about that they have to comply with the regulation.
But who's going to be checking that they are in compliance? Because I know that they're not.
Like, how would we know that the
How
food
would
on
we
that
know?
truck meets the?
So our department can check it if somebody provides us the information about that food, and that's the way we had originally set it up before, and offered businesses in the community to come and meet with purchasing and us to see if anybody was interested. And once they saw all of the rules we had to follow, nobody wanted to do it. So that's what ended up happening. But so it's really not, it's not really a change in what we've been doing for the last 12 or 15 years.
So let's put in the regulation, Joe, before principals are allowed to do the approval, that they would have to secure authorization from Food Services Department.
Because last year we went and we ate from the food trucks outside of Oñate, and they were serving hot Cheetos with nacho cheese on it. And I'm pretty sure that that is not a smart snack.
You don't think it complied?
Okay, I know that it doesn't.
There was probably a line for the food.
All the way out, and I ordered a burrito, and they have chicharrón burritos, which I know
doesn't comply either.
That's out of compliance.
All those really good things don't comply. So that's true.
I know that we're not exactly there yet, but I appreciate the effort of trying to.
We can add that in the regulation.
And so, like at Oñate, it's a little tough, and also at some of the other high schools, in that we have other people's property that comes right up to the edge of us.
Right.
And so they had started out off the property at Oñate, and suddenly they were on the property, and the last time I checked, they were back off the property, but they're like a half inch off the property line. And so that, and that statement is in here where you're going to encourage the people who are right up against our edge to comply with healthy eating. But again, we also all know that we don't have any control over those people.
But they should be licensed by the city as well.
So they're licensed as trucks, is my understanding. Now, the property there at Oñate is actually privately owned, and whether they have permission from the owners or not to be on that property, I don't know the answer to that.
We need to work with the principal to ensure, because we can certainly control whether students leave the campus. I'm going to also ask Ms. Galvon, we've done a couple of changes here. This is the second reading, so we'll be voting on the June 20th meeting. Would you update those changes and email those to the board and to the cabinet? Yes. Just so that you can see, we've added additional language. And then we will work on the regulation to ensure that we are.
And currently, there is no regulation for this policy, so it will be a from-scratch regulation.
Okay,
Dr. Ewing.
all right.
Probably recommend it not be on consent at the next time, so in case they want to approve it.
I think for this policy, definitely. Madam President, is that acceptable?
That is a good thing, yes, thank you.
Okay. And then just a general comment, Gabe had indicated to me that you all had questions concerning how the newly announced changes by the current administration, how they impacted any of this. The two things they've announced all apply only to reimbursable meals. They don't affect any of the snack type, the a la carte trucks, all of that. They haven't discussed any of that. So all of that is currently focused on reimbursable meals, and the sodium, not extending into the next step of the sodium, had already sort of been done by USDA. They kept saying, well, you're supposed to work towards it, but as long as you're level 1, we're not going to do anything to you. So then it was just kind of a reinforcement of that. And we've met the level 1s for quite some time. So we're in good shape with that. And the other thing that is supposed to come out with more information is the whole grain issue. And currently, they haven't really changed from the policy we've been operating under. So we don't have to see any huge changes from any of that yet. So, okay. The last item is the student, what's the name? The one for meals and meal charges. And I know there was several questions on this. One of the things that you all had asked about were the, is it the home, foster children, I believe, are homeless, one or the other. So we fixed that, but we also added a whole section about being directly certified, which is how all of our students who have been previously identified by another governmental program as being in that low socioeconomic group, if that we get those official documents, we qualify them from that. And that was really nowhere in the policy, we realized. So we did go back and add that, and it's called direct certification. Good. Most of the students in Las Cruces that qualify under direct certification come through through SNAP, but we have a great program worked out with the homeless shelters and the homeless liaisons where they notify us right away and we get those children qualified. And then foster is a little bit harder struggle, but we do the same thing with them. And then if the district provides us the migrant students, they automatically become free as soon as we are notified. So all of those groups of children who are some of our most needy automatically qualify as soon as we know they're covered under one of those other programs. So I just wanted you to be aware of that piece, so we did add that component in.
Yeah, I did notice that particular wording on if they qualify for SNAP, that you would automatically.
And that program's been in a place for a number of years. New Mexico has struggled, and we still struggle with it because somehow the data that gets turned in at SNAP and the data of our students here doesn't align, and if it doesn't align, then we don't get that list from the state. So that's where we've struggled, and we continue to struggle. If they're somebody junior in one field and they're not a junior in the other, they don't match them. If somebody misses one number in their dates of birth, or if they use one last name here and one last name there, they don't get matched up. And so that's something we're going to continue to struggle with. So the system doesn't work perfectly, but it's better than not having it. So, and it's an ongoing issue across the country, not just even in New Mexico. So we added that piece to it.
And Ms. Kathy, are we still waiting for the direction on alternate meals?
Yes. So I talked to the director of student nutrition at PED yesterday, and he told us that they have had something at their legal office for 2 weeks, so they're hoping in another week they'll get it out. And all he said is he thinks it will help support us, but he can't tell us what it says yet. So we're hoping that before the third reading, we will have some information to share. But yeah, you know, that wheel moves very slowly.
Right, I understand. But it seems to me that it would be best not to have an alternate meal, but just the regular meal, because otherwise we're signaling that this child all of a sudden is different for whatever reason.
So I don't know how much Gabe shared with you at the last meeting. That concept of the alternative meal we have never used in Las Cruces, but when I met with the committee and got input, that was their choice of the options. So we wrote the policy that way, knowing that we didn't know what the state was going to do, and it would be a change of policy in Las Cruces, but needed to honor what the committee's recommendation was, so that's why it's in there. And if we were to do it, you have to offer that alternative meal to a child who's not charging as well, but there still probably wouldn't be very many of other kinds taking it. So yes, but that's where that came from.
Madam President, I
Yes.
think we had struck that language out on the second reading.
Okay,
So,
perhaps we have, yeah.
thinking about it wrong, it may not be in there right now.
Can we go ahead and strike it?
And let me just make clear to the board, the board's goal is to set policy. And so if the board is not pleased with the policy that staff will be bringing forward, so if you're not pleased with the policy that the committee did with Ms. Kathy, you can say redo it, and my staff would redo it. So I want to make sure the board understands that if the recommendation of the committee was to give them an alternative meal, and the board says, no, we don't like that, you can redirect me to redirect staff to work on that again. That is an option.
How does the board feel about that?
Is it in here? Where is it?
I think it has been removed, but it was in the first reading.
Okay.
Mr. Frank?
Yeah.
So
I think based on legal counsel, we took it out.
Yes, okay, so I think we're already where we need to be.
And as you can tell, where we've stood for the last many years is kind of had been my recommended approach, but again, so
Right.
I
Well, we appreciate
understand
that.
exactly.
Yes, the reason for not doing an alternative meal. Okay, so I think we're already where we need to be. Thank you for that.
Thank you. Excellent job, Nancy. Thank you so much.
Okay, that now takes us, we did public input, so I don't think there's any more, I did not receive any more cards. So then we're gonna go into a closed executive session, and this is so that we can go, meet with the superintendent as permitted under, section 10-15-1H2 of the New Mexico Open Meeting Act to discuss with him the results of the evaluation process. So we're going to step out right now and do that, and we will reconvene as soon as we come back. So what time is it right now?
Is 6:36.
6:36. So board members, we are in the back. One of these Raices thing for Ray. I don't know if there's any. Yeah, well, we'll just put it in his box. Huh? I don't know. I have no idea. This meeting has gone on for a long time. Yeah, maybe 7. All right. Here we go. These are ink napkins. We'll see you in a bit. All right. Yes, sir.
have this big desk. They used to go this way.
Yeah, and I wish I would have known.
That whole wall was,
She's been.
all the way back to the back was stairs. Yeah, it used to be ridiculous. I wish we would have bought a grand. Got it in perfect. There are business already. Friday nights. It's good because I come back there on Saturday night at 9 o'clock. There's 2 rows of cars. Oh, that's right, the rainforest, the bar, the club, and the club. That was the club. I love that. It's like great live music. Hurricane. Yeah, have you been there recently? Where's the college kids go? They go to Risky Dick? I've never been there, but where do you all college go?
can stick it on something. Yeah. Yeah, whatever you want.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, you can put it up in your classroom or whatever. We're waiting on Tina. We're just waiting on Tina to come back. Just reading.
Oh. Let's see. I'll get Miguel to see. Okay. Can you hit that tomorrow?
We're just waiting.
Should I go get her?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we're ready.
Okay. Ready to go. Okay. All right, we'll go ahead and start. The board met in closed executive session from 6:30 PM to 7:05 PM to discuss the evaluation of the superintendent as permitted under Section 10-15-1H2 of the New Mexico Open Meetings Act. So that is all. Do we have any comments or anyone else needing to say anything before I adjourn? Okay, well then I will entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting.
So,
Okay,
second?
okay, Mr. Castro first and Mr. Frank second. All in favor, please?
Aye.
Aye. This meeting is adjourned. And we send off Dr. Ewing to Italy.
Yes.
Safely.
I am ready to go.